Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sage Paperless Construction. My name is Vincent Pate, and I'm here with Sage. I'm going to go through a couple, quick slides talking to you about kind of what Sage Paperless Construction is at a very high level, and then we'll spend most of our time in demo mode talking about the actual product, how it works with your company, and where you can go from here. Now, at the very first level, this is a product that works very well with either Sage 100 Contractor or Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate. So no matter what accounting platform you're on, this is going to work well for you. And if you're watching, note that I can easily flip between the two without any noticeable difference because this product works the same. So no matter which of the accounting softwares you're using today, note Sage Paperless is going to work very similarly for you. Maybe a word or two different just to match the vocabulary of your software. So as we go through this, first thing I want you to know is that Sage Paperless Construction is built in to work directly with your accounting. But second thing, what is Sage Paperless? Well, at its simplest level, it is a digital filing cabinet. It's a way simple way to say it, but just to clarify, Sage Paperless can store all of your documentation that you have in your office digitally on your server, made available to whomever needs it wherever they might be. So Sage Paperless can store in all of your project management documentation, human resources, property management, accounts payable, AR, even non-Sage documentation, because although we do have a very strong interaction with both Sage accounting platforms, it's really unlimited the scope in which you can use this software. Whether or not you're wanting to use this for, contracts that are signed, purchase orders that have been pulled in from the field, your pay stubs, you name it, we can store them all digitally. But a key to this digital storing is that we've really designed it to where it's not just something you throw into a folder and you only get out through one single piece. Let me go ahead and make sure my screen's working. So it's not just something you throw out and put into a single piece. It is something where you could store a single document by a multitude of values, and every value is searchable. Speaking of searchable, you can find documents based on any of the criteria you put in. If I'm putting in an AP invoice, I want to be able to search and find it by job, or find it by cost code, find it by vendor, find it by date range, or a combination of any of those things. Dollar amount could be another one. If I want to store it in RFI, I don't want to just be able to go into a folder in my office and say, okay, here is my RFI folder, and they're all broken down by job, and they got to hunt through them all. I want to be able to say, I'm looking for an RFI that was sent to Bob, and it was done within the last 30 days, and our system's going to be able to find it for you. In fact, if you have some specific things that you look up all the time, maybe you're doing AIA billings or you're doing progress, time and material billings, and you need to find all of the documentation over the last 30 days for a particular job or cost code or combination, you could save that as a favorite and quickly grab that information out of the system when you need it. And you can also use this to grab files, not just as a viewing on the screen, but you can grab files to save to a flash drive or to your computer. You can print them off. You can email them. You can do a multitude of different things with these files. One other thing about this as well is that you can have those documents accessible right out of your Sage accounting system, whether that's Sage 100 Contractor through the paperclip icons that are in the different windows, or is it through, Sage 300 and you go into an inquiry to look at something? If there is a logical place where a document could be connected back into Sage, we will do that for you in Sage Paperless. Now, another side of all the Sage Paperless is there's the entire accounts payable system here. We market ourselves as a digital filing cabinet to store all your documents in for however long you need them with the retention and security that you expect from a world-class document management system. But we've also put in a AP system to route around all of your AP invoices and get them coded to the right people with the right approvals in a timely manner so that you don't run into situations where you don't pay a subcontractor in time and they walk off the job, or you don't pay a vendor in time to capture a discount that was highly desirable for you. We want to make sure things are going well. In fact, catching duplicates could be just as powerful as making sure things get done on time. I mean, if you accidentally pay a vendor 2 or maybe even 3 times by accident, it could be months before you recoup that actual cash into your bank account. So we want to stop that right in its tracks. And we've got all the checks and balances within Sage 100 or 300 that you would normally have in AP in the Sage Paperless solution. So again, if you have compliance things you need to cover, we got you. If you want to make sure you're not going over a commitment, we've got you covered there, and your budget as well, and just multitudes of ways to make that happen. Now, another nice thing about this software is we are now cloud-enabled. So one of the things we're releasing here is that we can now access and do a lot of the things I've just been talking about through the web, through cloud. And some of those things we'll cover here in the presentation are being able to capture photos, job photos, credit card receipts, receiving tickets, AP invoices, you name it. If you want to capture photos from your smartphone and have them coded right there on your device and pushed into Sage Paperless, you can do that. You can start doing forms and filling in forms right there from the field. I want to create a custom form for customer sign-on when they come to the job site, or I have a safety violation. I want to fill the form for that. I want to do a daily field report and have somebody go through the daily field report with GPS stamps and signatures and capture all the different information. You can create your own custom forms, and then they'll save as a PDF document with all your photos that you plugged onto it in Sage Paperless for retrieval later as needed. So we can capture information as they come across. And then we even have an e-portal coming that will allow you to put in, do your AP invoice approval from the field, or even create commitments from the field, and even access documents from the paperless out in the field for the people that need it. Field being the key piece here, we now have with the cloud enablement. So with that, let's jump over and actually look at the software in general. Sage Paperless Construction, in the version I'm showing right here, is going to be sitting on your server, and it's going to be working on your machines in the same environment that you're doing Sage 300 or 100 today. Again, we'll talk about the cloud stuff a little later for that side. Now, a couple things that always come up that I'd like everyone to know is this. You don't have to have the users of Sage Paperless have access to the accounting system. You can, and in fact, there are some bridgeable stuff that we're going to talk about when that gets to that point. But in the case of the software, you're easily going to be able to make sure that all your people have security access and everything like that. With Paperless, you can access, even if you don't have the Sage accounting side, because we are a module of the Sage accounting, 100 or 300, but we also run separately. It means you can have separate security because you aren't necessarily talking the exact same thing, although everything is interconnected. Whereas somebody might have access to employee records in Sage, they might not have access to direct deposit statements, pay amounts of information. And so giving them access to just everything related to an employee could potentially be damaging for somebody. Our security in Paperless allows you to be very specific on the document side, more so than on the accounting side, because you already have that nailed down with your Sage accounting. Our security in here works on a number of levels, by types of documents, by the values within there. Again, as a great example, you can mark down an employee ID on their user login for Paperless and say, hey, when you log into the human resources or payroll section, you can only see documents labeled for you. Project managers, you can nail it down and say you can only see your jobs that you're part of. You control how all the security is going to go. And you can set how long you can retain these documents so nothing will ever disappear before, the audit time frame that you might ever be audited. You can control all that. Because Sage Paperless was really designed as, a solution for all your document management first. And that means we got a very tight back end to make sure everything is always going to be where you need it, when you need it, at that time. Now, how do we make that accomplished? Number one, it's being very customizable. As you're seeing on the screen here, this is my dashboard for a typical login for Sage Paperless Construction. Now, know what you're thinking. Hey, I've got project managers or I've got people that log in. They don't need to see dashboards. They just need to log in and do the work that I ask them to do in the system. That's fine. You can remove dashboards. You can change them. You can remove that screen and put your company logo in the background and make that the default they log into, however you want. But the customization does not stop there. It goes deep. As a starting point, every document you scan in the system will be able to be coded and saved in Paperless. Any document. We can scan in and store purchase orders, AP invoices, project management document, property documents, anything you want. And the customization starts with that because you can create any document category you want, any document type you want. Now, here's an RFI in the system. This RFI has got a number of values in which I might want to tie back into Sage, some that are just in Paperless because there is no direct comparison to what's in my accounting system. But you can say, what do I want to call this document? How do I want to store it? And how do I want to look back into accounting when I need to? In AP, I'm going to grab a purchase order, and although there's some codes that I can absolutely type in manually, I want to be able to look back into my accounting system and grab the purchase order right out of there. So I don't have to double code everything. I select it, and because this is a live link to your accounting, I looked over at my accounting system. I saw the purchase order, and I've programmed my Paperless to just look over there and say, hey, grab the amount, grab the date, grab the vendor, grab the job, or jobs. You can have it store all those values on here because every single one of these is now searchable when I go find it later. If I wanted to find all my AP purchase orders that were for Northwest Concrete that happened to be in 2015 and were above $20,000, this one would show up on the list because that's been coded that way. The more information you put in, the better ways you can find it, and you are not limited to what comes out default in the system. You can create your own values within there, how they look back into Sage, how they read. As I said, customization is the key. You build this software to work exactly how you want. Now, we do have a ton of stuff already pre-programmed out of the box. In fact, almost everything you're going to see here is out of the box, but you can make that expand out further. Now, as far as getting the documents into the system, do note that we can pretty much grab them in any imaginable way you're using today. If you wanted to say, I have a scanner sitting on my desk and I put in a block of 50 documents and I need them scanned in and put into Paperless, we're going to do that for you. In fact, we have a great split utility to make sure that they're collated as quickly as possible. If every single one is one page, when it comes in, you just say, this was a one-page document bundle, and it just splits them all up into their corresponding pieces, and done. Now, if some of them are one, some are 2 pages, we have a split utility to say, just use your keyboard, down arrow, space bar, and make it split the documents up as quickly as you can, click a key on your keyboard. We can also grab things right out of emails. If you wanted to, let's put this purchase order aside here. What if I wanted to save an email out of the system and, make it available in Sage Paperless? I can do that. I can, grab an email out here. I'm grabbing one right now out of my Outlook. And from my Outlook, I just say, oh, well, I got this email. I can click and drag it right over here and say, index file. I want to save this email. And it comes over with the sender information and recipients, with subject, attachments that are on it, what the message is, and then I can save this as a RFI or a transmittal or any document type. Maybe this was part of a meeting minute, so I want to connect it back to a meeting minute that was in Sage. Or this was a piece that connected to a punch list. I mean, whatever you want it to be, we can connect it into Sage. And again, just like that purchase order, I can do a lookup, find the corresponding piece in accounting if one exists, tie it up, and it's going to read all the data for me in one fell swoop. Emails, Excel documents, pictures, you name it. You can even set it up so if you're in an office with a copier, printer that's central and everything gets put into a folder on your server as they get scanned in, you can have it look at that folder and just read everything from that folder as they come in. You get the documents in any way that you need them to. And once they're in, you code them, and you say what they are, and now they're permanently available in your system for as long as you need them to be with quick ways to access them. And we can route them all for approval as well. You're not just, we are going to talk very shortly here about AP invoice routing and approval, but note it's any document you want to route for approval. With our doc route system, you can put in purchase orders and have them route for approval. You can put in vacation request forms, have them route to the supervisor of the employee for approval. You set up what documents you want to route and how do you want to route them. Is it based on the job? Is it based on the employee's information? Is it based on dollar amount? You name it. You control how you want these to route, and they'll go to each of the people in your route, and it can be multiple. Each person can then look at it and mark it up as necessary. We've got a full list of stamps and redaction tools and stick-it notes and things like that that you can put on a document, including things like an approved stamp with your name and date, put that all on there. Or even scan your signature and throw your signature right on there. But these all get routed for approval so that if you ever need to go back and audit later, say, who approved this document? We've got it coded in the system and available to anyone who needs to see it. We have full audit logs to make sure that nobody can ever be in the blind about what's going on. Now, on top of that, putting all this stuff into the system and routing them around for approval, you're also going to need to get them out of the system in a timely manner. So earlier I said we have a search utility that can grab documents out by any of those things we've been talking about. Well, here it is. I can come over and very blatantly say, show me every document I have security access to see. And there they are. Done. There's everything. And from here, I can grab certain groups. I can email them to people, print them off. I can even save them to file, whether that's a flash drive or to my computer. But I can be very specific on what I'm wanting to look at. I'm wanting to look at all of my project management documentation that was for a particular job. I can put in my job number right here. Again, everywhere that you would expect to have a look back into Sage, we've got to look back into Sage. And then you can specifically find the documents matching your criteria. I can save favorites of these of saying, I'm a project manager, and I just want to see all my jobs listed. And I can just click on each job, and it's going to pare down the information to each job. And then maybe go to a step further and say, show me for job 0301 all my drawings. Show me all of my things that were coded to subcontract. Show me all my RFIs, transmittals. Show me all of my invoices for the last 40 days so that I can go through those, grab them out, save them to file or print them out or email them over to somebody as a backup documentation for my progress billing or time and material. If you're on, something on the AP side, you might start with AP invoice and say, show me all my AP invoices coded to a certain GL account. Show me all of my human resources documents. As a payroll manager, I might want to be able to see that. As a property manager, if you're using the PM system, you can pull it by property, by tenant. You name it. If it's a value within Sage Paperless that you want to search and find things by quickly and easily, they're all right here. But you're not limited to just looking in Paperless. You can also look right out of Sage 100 or 300. If I'm in Sage 100 Contractor as an example, I could pull up accounts payable. I can pull up a particular invoice. Let me find one here that's got some extra information on it. And I can say, show me the documents that made up AP invoice number 489961. I click the paperclip icon, and we have a link right here that then launches Paperless and shows me the related documents to it. And those could be anything from the invoice to the subcontract to lien waivers to anything that's been coded to that specific piece. And then, of course, I can email or print from here. If I'm in Sage 300 Construction Real Estate, I can do the same thing. In fact, I might open up Information Assistant and pull up a query. I'm looking at job cost report here, and I just happen to be looking at job 0301 and trying to figure out what the job cost to date, where did this number come from when looking at this cost code? Well, I say, show me in Paperless the stuff related to that. And then here, it's going to ping Paperless and find out I've got 4 invoices that made up that number, and they're all available to me to see right here. And because we do use concurrent license model in our software, meaning that you can have every person in your office have a login with the security that they deserve or require, then it means you only use a license when you're in the software doing anything. But if you're just viewing documents like I'm doing right here, you can actually turn it off and say those people viewing documents, they don't use a license. They're read-only. They can view all they want without getting in the way of anyone doing work in the system. So lots of ways we can get the documents in and out. Now, one of the key pieces of putting the documents in that a lot of people look into software is on the AP side of things. And we have an entire system designed to allow you to save and store in your AP invoices and route them around for approval so you're never in the dark on anything going on there. There's a couple ways to get them in. I'm going to focus primarily on just a standard invoice, but note if you want to be able to, pull in a bank credit card statement, a CSV file from your bank, you can actually grab and take that file and turn that into invoices right through the system. If you wanted to grab multiple invoices all at once and kind of do some mass coding, we got some tools for that too. The key one I'm going to show today, though, is just a standard invoice. I'm going to come in here and enter in this invoice into Sage and have it route for approval. What this does is it takes over the process you're doing today with AP. You code it in through here, but you don't lose anything. You still have all the coding that you do normally. I select a vendor. I expect it to give me my subcontractor compliance if there's missing insurance. And sure enough, there it is. It's letting me know I have several insurances in this case, all expired. And do I want to continue or do I want to cancel? Or if you'd rather turn that to an error so your people can't continue, you can do that too. If I put in an invoice number that already exists, I'm going to get a stop right there. It says this already exists in the system. If you started using Paperless tomorrow and you had an invoice from 2 weeks ago that was a duplicate, you're going to catch that because we do look through the entire Sage database to make sure there's no duplicates. You plug in your invoice. Oh, sorry, keep grabbing duplicates there. You plug in all the stuff with all the same checks and balances and things you would expect from the accounts payable system in Sage. You code it out to the commitment, to the job, to the direct expense account, to the regular expense account. You code it out, you put in the information, and you might not even know it all. And you, right now, I'm going to talk to the processors, the people who are entering your invoices. If you only know the header of the information, you don't know, you could see there's a line here for rental, but you don't know what job. You can leave the job out. You can leave the cost code and category blank. You can let the people downstream of you, the project managers or the project assistants, whoever it is that you want to have part of that routing approval, they could enter that piece. But as a processor, you're going to put in the information enter in the invoice, hit route, and let it go on its way. And those routes will be programmed ahead of time. You got them ready to go, and they can be unlimited in scope. If you want to have 20 different people touch an invoice, which is, of course, crazy, but if you wanted 20 people to touch an invoice, you can. They can all be at one time. They can be at separate times. You control everything about that. And it's all based on the coding of the invoice, dollar amount, vendor, job, however you want. And those people approving the documents can log right into Sage Paperless and do that approval. And when I say log right into Sage Paperless, I'm going to take a slight tangent here and let you know a little bit about what's coming, and next coming meaning next month, with our cloud. We do have a cloud-based approval system called the ePortal that allow your people out in the field who have no connection back into Sage to pull up their tablets, look at their invoices for approval, and approve them right there. I do not have it to show you today, but I want to let you know it exists, and if you would like to see a demo of it, please contact me later. I can get you a preview of that piece that's coming out next month. What I am going to show you, though, today is if they're using it right there in the system, either in the office or through a remote desktop or Citrix. If you're in the Sage Paperless solution looking to do some approvals, here's what we see. Now, as far as getting notified, we do send an email out, and that's scheduled. Typically, you're going to send it out once a day, every other day, once a week, however often you want to send an email out to your people, letting them know you've got so many documents out there for approval. They then log in, and then they'll be able to see everything they need on one screen to do their work. I can see all the header information for my invoice right here. I can see any notes that were previous, and I can see all the lines of distribution that I need to approve. I can look at this and say, well, this is a purchase order, and I want to make sure I'm not going over my commitment. Well, I've got to click a link right here that'll show me live as of that second I press that button, what does my commitment look like in Sage? Have I gone over it? Has it been invoiced? Have there been any change orders? What's been paid? All of that information is right there available to me. I can do the same thing on a budget. Am I going over my budget that's on this? Is there no budget? However you want to look at that. But above and beyond I don't necessarily even have to have access to Sage. As I said earlier, your project managers don't necessarily need to log in, but they do need the information that's in it when they're approving an invoice. So that gives it to me there. I can look up the history of my vendor if I need to see that, and I can pull up the related documents that go along with this. If I'm a PM, I need to make sure that if I'm going to approve a purchase order to invoice, that I've got the receiving ticket in the system, that I've got any certificates of insurance. And I could actually have it automatically collate that for me so I can see a lien waiver here, I can see the purchase order, I can see the receiving ticket, and anything else that you want to say is related to this invoice and have it show up, I can have that happen there. Beauty of an integrated system. Everything is tied together in a nice big bow, and you can see it right there as you need it. I can route this to someone else if I find that they coded it to me wrong by accident, put it on hold if I need to, if there's a change order, reject it if it's straight wrong, or of course approve it. If it was one of those invoices I talked about earlier, one where it's like a job where they didn't know which job it was, I could code the job in right here or change it if it was wrong. Change the cost code. And by the way, all of the stuff I'm saying here, security permitting. If I want certain project managers to be able to do this and others they can't, I can set that security setting. Because you may not want all your project managers to do all that kind of stuff, but if you have others that do, great. Everything's here together. And for you in the back office who need to make sure that they are all taking care of this work and getting it done, we've got you plenty of reports to run and get you that information. In fact, if I wanted to look at a nice aging report to see how many documents I got sitting out there in my approvers, how many dollars, I can see that right here. And my numbers are pretty high. Hopefully none of yours are going to look like this. I've got a lot of documents over 120 days old by some of my people here, and as a tool to see how many is that, this is great. I can look at Mike and know that I need to see what information he has in there, and here's all the invoices. I can call him up. Can even give rights to somebody else to say, hey, Mike's out today. Can you log in and take care of this stuff for him? Can work that through the system. We have an invoice manager as well if you want to get the details at a more dynamic method. Show me everything that's currently out there pending, sorted by discount date so I can get my discounts faster. Show me everything by invoice total so I get the ones that are bigger or smaller paid faster. Do it by vendor. Do it by any number of the categories here and check out who's reviewed it, all the notes. We've audited everything and let you see it. In fact, if you need to approve something on the fly right now, assuming you have security access to do so, you could force approve a document, get it through the system. Say like a subcontractor threatening to leave if he doesn't get paid right now. Okay, I see Mike needs to do this first. He's not available. I'm just going to approve it. And again, if I have security access to do so, I can just get that done. And everything that gets approved, we can push right back into your Sage accounting system. And then they show up in AP just as though you had entered it directly in there. Once they've been put into AP, you go ahead and cut your checks out. And we want to give you one more tool for that as well. It's called the check review. Now, depending upon your workflow, you can do this in one of two manners, or both if you prefer. Some companies I talk to don't cut out the checks until they're ready to be signed. So they'll pull up and say, show me everything marked for payment in the system. And here will give me a list right out of Sage of all my vendors, what invoices, how many dollars, what the documents are in Sage Paperless, and who reviewed them, and all the notes. And I can verify right here, right out of this, what's ready to be paid. And if there's anything that I don't like, I just go back into Sage, I unmark it for payment, and I then cut my checks. The other side of that coin, though, is people who cut the checks first, hand over the check stub plus all the associated documents and say, sign this. We cut down so much time because if you are grabbing every single backup document to a check, it means you're going to your filing cabinet, you're hunting for the invoice, the purchase orders, the receiving tickets, the credit card receipts, you name it. And you then have to go photocopy it, take it over, staple it together, hand it to somebody to, sign off. What if we could do it all digitally? Here's the checks. I pull it up and say, here's the checks right out of Sage. What invoices did they pay? What are the documents associated with the invoice? Who approved it, and all their notes all in one screen. So as I sign that check, I know legitimately everything is good to go. Lots of tools to make sure that you're getting the most out of all of your document storage and what's being approved, who's got it, and again, finding it quickly and easily out of the system. Now, I said earlier I'd show you some of our cloud-based pieces, so I'm going to connect my tablet over to my computer, and I'm going to show you guys a sneak preview of what's coming out next month with the new cloud-based pieces. So, should have this up in just a second. And for whatever reason, I always have to do landscape. Let's see. Yeah, it won't let me show the other side, so we'll show it in here. This is my iPad, and I'm going to pull up, to start, the eForms. This is our tool that allows you to create your own custom forms and have them filled out. And these custom forms can literally be anything you want them to be. What I have here as an example is a daily field report I created. If you wanted to make this be a vacation request form, if you want this to be a time off request, I guess those would be the same thing, huh? If you wanted this to be anything that you want your people to fill out in the field or fill out in the office or anywhere, you customize how you want this and how does it link back into Sage so that we can search for them later. Daily Field Report is a great example because it connects to a lot of things and can highlight a lot of the pieces that this software can do. For one, your lists link back into the Sage accounting system. If I'm pulling up a list of all my jobs to say which job this daily field report is for, I got that list right here. I can pick the date, I can do today's date, or I can clear it off, select today, and go done. If I want to do GPS, I can use the devices, GPS, and say grab the location and view it on a map. I have another section where you might do slider bars to pick the weather. You might do photos and add photos through this. And all of this is captured right there on your device, even if you're offline, to be synced back up when you get back online. Build whatever forms you want, and then they store in Sage Paperless. If I want to pull them up later, I just come over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and search by this because I know I put it in not too long ago. Let's see, that was a project management daily log. And so that daily log that I stored in here, I would then be able to pull it up, and it's coded automatically by all those things I just said, and we store the picture with a thumbnail and the full piece. All the information is there on those forms to be usable. The other app we have that I'm going to show you right now is what we call eCapture. Now, I'm using a tablet for this, and obviously, if you're talking about taking pictures of things and having them go back, you're probably using a smartphone more than likely. This works, both apps work both with iPhone and Android, but typically you're going to be using the eForms on a tablet, and you're going to be using the eCapture on a smartphone. It's just by nature of the people using it, that's the most common way people see it. And what this does is it's a way to capture documents right there from your device. I'm doing a receiving ticket. I'm doing a credit card receipt. I tell it, where is this going at when I get it? What's the credit card that we're tagging this over to? What's the merchant or expense? Oh, sorry, I haven't logged in a while. I should probably re-log in there. So you basically tell it the information that you need to capture for this credit card receipt. What's the date? What's the amount? And from there, you can take the picture, pull up your camera, take the picture, and it's my desktop I'm going to see here, not any actual real one, and I would submit that, and it's going to push it right back into Sage Paperless. Now, remember earlier I said you can grab from your bank and get a credit card file from your bank and create invoices. If you're using both of these two in conjunction, it'll actually smartly start connecting the credit card receipts that you're taking pictures of through the eCapture to the credit card files, because it's looking at the vendor, it's looking at the dollar amount and the date, and it's saying, well, these all match, so we're going to connect the two together automatically. And anything it can't auto-match because maybe somebody keyed it in wrong, you're going to see on a list of things that are close, and you can kind of look through those and find them. So lots of ways you can connect the different pieces of the software to the other pieces. And again, we do have the ePortal coming as well. I don't have that available to show today. So as a recap, Sage Paperless Construction is a full document repository for anything you might want to use. We do have an absolutely top-notch accounts payable system where you can store in your AP invoices and route them around for approval with all the documents connected and all the information back with your Sage accounting so that you always get things paid on time to improve your relationships with your subcontractors and eliminate all the paperwork associated. But again, don't limit it just to that, because you can store in all your project documentation, you can human resources, you name it. And this is really designed to save you time and increase productivity and efficiency by making a centralized document system to store everything with the right security settings to where you can find documents with the snap of a finger right out of your Sage accounting system, and at the end of the day, eliminate the need for all the paper files. Get rid of that, 25 square feet of space that you're using up in the side of your office. Get rid of that. Add another office desk. Let's make paperless work for you and get all of your documents digitized. Now, my name is Vincent Pate. As I said earlier, if you have any questions I'm not able to get to here in the next 10 minutes or so for the Q&A, please email me, vincent.pate@sage.com, and I'll be able to answer any technical questions for you or point you to the right question if they're not technical. And if they're not, you want to get pricing for this or next steps, implementation training questions, please call either your Sage business partner or call us direct at Sage, 800-858-7095. Now with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, get that clean for everyone.